Right, to talk a little bit about politics. Boy, that came right at me. I didn't. Never mind. Here we are. Joining me now is Kellyanne Conway, former counselor of President Trump, president of KA Consulting, Fox News contributor, author of Here's the Deal, a very good book, and a very dear friend of mine, and the smartest person I know in this field. Kellyanne, welcome back. You never know on live TV what happens. Joe Biden plunging in the polls. And I want to get your take on that. But first, I want to listen to a Democratic pollster, but I think a good one, Mark Penn. Here's Mark Penn's comment on Joe Biden plunging in the polls. Take a listen, please.
You do this too, though, right? You do the polling. Your polling hasn't been this low. What did they find that all of a sudden triggered this?
Well, I think the announcement. I think the fact that he said he's running for president when less than 40% of Democrats really support his reelection.
Well, there you have it, Kellyanne. It was the announcement that tanked him, I think, about 10 points. What do you make of that? What's your thoughts?
Well, Mark Penn is right. And Larry, there are three metrics where you find Joe Biden above 60%. One is the number of Democrats who don't want him to run. The other one is the number of Americans who say he does not have the mental sharpness to be an effective president. And the third place where Joe Biden's above 60% is the number of Americans who say he doesn't have the physical energy. I thought the ABC News Washington Post poll was the most devastating poll of Joe Biden, the biggest indictment of his presidency to date, and I'll tell you why. His approval rating overall is very low, lowest on record, 36%. But his approval rating among core groups who helped him become president in the first place is in the tank. Joe Biden has a 26% approval rating among Americans under 30. He carried them by 26 points. He is losing to Donald Trump in the suburbs, losing to Donald Trump among so-called self-identified independents who will decide who the next president is. And he's losing to both Trump and DeSantis, who hasn't even announced yet, in the head-to-head. Other point about the polling in Biden. His personal characteristics, cares about people like me, has a plan, is good for the country, should run again. Those are all underwater. And you really have never seen that, even when presidents, both right, left, and center, when they've had difficult times in their presidencies, you've never seen that high number of people, including in your own party, say, please just go away. He can't hand it off to Kamala Harris. Nobody has confidence in her competence. So we're stuck with both of them. And these polls are very, very rough for Joe Biden.
Yeah, and the country's in lousy shape. Everybody knows it. The economy's down. It's going to be a pocketbook issue. It's going to be a kitchen table issue. It's an utter catastrophe at the border. I mean, utter catastrophe. Never seen anything like it.
Disgrace.
Not just for Americans, but for the poor illegals who are coming here. I mean, it's just going to be
Totally
a catastrophe
agree.
for them. It's a humanitarian
Yes.
thing. Kellyanne, why is Donald Trump absolutely slaughtering Ron DeSantis right now? I mean, depending on the poll, but it's 30 to 40 points. Why do you reckon that is?
A few things. First of all, you can't win if you don't play. And so far, Trump's the only announced candidate. He announced 6 months ago. DeSantis has the money. He's got the manpower in these early states. Many articles now, Larry, about them staffing up and gobbling up some talented people in some of the early states. The question is, does he have the right messages? And is he the right messenger for these times? I think the other reason is we're 18 short months away from the next presidential election. And normally when you want to hire someone to do a job, you hire someone who's done the job before. And that's the way many Americans look at President Trump. They say, look, I don't like this or I don't like that, but I love the economy, the energy independence, the fact that job creators, job seekers, and job holders all felt like someone was looking out for them. Forgotten man, forgotten woman, forgotten child, pushing against Putin and Xi and Mexico and China, Japan, with all these trade deals. So they want somebody who's tough. I also think Ron DeSantis focuses way too much on woke and the culture wars, which do have their place. He does a really good thing, and then he takes it too far and for too long. So I've talked to many of his donors who are disenchanted, certainly with the 6-week abortion ban, but also they're really disenchanted with the protracted personal political vendetta against Disney. You want to call them out for this, that, the other? Do it. At the beginning, it made sense, but where is the DeSantis economic plan? Where is what will he say as a governor on foreign policy and national security? Not usually the sweet spots of governor. But Larry, this is all going to come down to the debate stage. We are about 100 days away from that first debate. And the question is, who will make the debate stage? I think it could be up to 6, 7, 8 people easily. They need 1% of the polls, 40,000 new donors. And when those Klieg lights go on, the question is, can you withstand the heat and the light? That's going to be the big test for Ron DeSantis, for Donald Trump, and for all of them.
Well, shouldn't Donald Trump debate?
Oh, I'm a big fan of democracy. I think debates are healthy. I think it's the way that we, the people, get to suss out who the best candidates are, representing our points of view. It's the way that we access these presidential candidates instantly, equally, and free of charge. It's the true democratization of information that we can look at all of them shoulder to shoulder. No question the debates helped Donald Trump become the nominee and the president of the United States in 2016, both against a field of 17 other Republicans. Dignified, quality candidates, great men and women, all of whom would have been better presidents than Hillary Clinton. And then I think the debates helped him against Hillary Clinton as well, because we didn't have the money, we didn't have the manpower, but he had the message and was a great messenger. I want to say one more thing about Ron DeSantis. If he doesn't run soon, he's kind of ruining himself for 2028. A lot of folks are mad at him for not doing this or not doing that. And if he's going to run in 2024, I think he needs to do it quickly.
But is it going to matter?
I love Florida.
I mean, it's like, I think everyone knows he's going to run. Now, they could all be wrong. I understand that. But it's always I mean, it's like Biden. So Biden announces, drops 10 points. If DeSantis announces, does he go up or down? I'm asking a serious question.
I think he goes up.
All right.
First. I think he goes up first. Nikki Haley went right up, and then she went down, and she's been down ever since. So it really depends. But I think he's allowed Trump to widen the lead, in large part, Larry, because DeSantis made the mistake of allowing himself to be seen as the alternative to Trump. He should have said from the get-go, I'm the alternative to Biden.
Right.
And transported himself into that general election, mano a mano. But there's plenty of time. It's just that Trump is so wide in his lead. And we'll see the way others handle him. I think that other candidates are trying to be an alternative to DeSantis. He's trying to be an alternative to Trump. The message for all of them is be the alternative to Joe Biden.
I just want to grow the economy without inflation and keep a strong dollar. That's all I want. I want middle-income, blue-collar workers to increase their real take-home pay, which is what we did several years ago. Last one, quickly, Kellyanne, is Donald Trump on message, in your judgment?
He's on message when he talks about his record on the economy, on energy, on national security, on border security, on crime. When he does that, I know he's got a town hall with CNN tomorrow. I hope he answers questions like that and he makes the case for his second term. Joe Biden making the case for his second term doesn't seem to be doing him any good. But I think when Republican candidates stick to the basic issues and explain the freedom agenda to Americans, security, affordability, fairness, education, energy, the economy, we do the best. And when we deviate from that, we don't.
Kellyanne Conway, love, love, love. Thank you ever so much.